here on the Ten12 Softball Show is every season to try and get every Big 12 coach on the show at least once. And so I'm very excited that we are now one step closer to that goal this season. Very first time here on the show, in part because now part of the Big 12, Coach Megan Bartlett of Arizona State. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Phillip. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well. I'm excited. I love doing this. I love getting to know more about the new programs in the conference. I love Big 12 softball. I love talking about this stuff every week. So I'm very excited to have you on. I will toot my own horn a little bit here. When we started doing our preseason stuff, Arizona State was kind of my like dark horse postseason. I'm going to keep a close eye on team, and I would say so far, I know a little bit up and down, but you guys have kind of delivered on my hopes and dreams for your program this year in your first season in the Big 12.
Perfect. Well, hopefully we make good on that for certain. Appreciate the vote of confidence. We got a lot of young ones. They're pretty talented and they're learning really quick. So
let's start there, because obviously this is your third season at Arizona State. Your first few years, I think, marred by a lot of injuries that kind of had the program not deliver on the level of success people, I'm sure, internally and externally have kind of hoped for a softball program with as much history as you guys have. I mean, it's a fairly young roster this year, but for the most part, knock on wood, you've stayed healthy so far. What is your view of this team and kind of where they are at this point in the season?
This is what I can tell you, man. They are young, they are feisty, they are talented, they are super driven, right? They didn't come here to look cute on Instagram and lose softball games. They came here to build something with a strong foundation and compete for national championships and take this thing back to Oklahoma City. And that is something that not just the veterans, but the young kids, they talk about. And they have worked so hard this year, right? Because I feel like any given top 20 program, you're like, oh, here's a freshman or two that maybe broke their way in. There was a hole in the lineup to fill. At any given point, we might have 7 freshmen on the field right now. So to try to, at points, it can feel like herding cats a little bit, but I really honestly mean that. It seems like every day right now, right? Because we played so much in the past 3 weeks. Every day, every weekend, they get a little bit more consistent. They are catching up to the speed of the game. They're a little bit sharper. And I just think the decision-making continues to get better. And honestly, I think this young group is going to be really, really strong leaders, right, by the time they're sophomores, juniors, seniors. So it's all good things at Arizona State softball right now, for sure.
When you have in my mind, when you have a young roster, you want to, there's going to be ups and downs. Obviously some losses that are a little bit regrettable, Belmont, North Dakota, but you want to see what the potential is, right? And so getting the wins over Oregon and getting the win over Washington and seeing them and getting the win over Cal, like seeing them perform against competition where they weren't expected to win, I think kind of shows you where the ceiling is for this team. And that's very exciting with a young roster to say, okay, we know what we are capable of. And if we can find that consistency where we're playing at it, where we raise our floor, knowing how high our ceiling is, like it's got to be very promising for you, both for this year, but as well as kind of looking toward as you continue to build this program to where you want it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we talk about all the time. Those poor kids have heard the word consistency, I think, 1 million times in the past 3 weeks. But again, you can't really rush time. That's one of the things. Like, yes, you're exactly right. We were going to have some really high highs just based on our talent level. And we've had some low lows already, but they come in the next day, they get back to it, they do their prep, they do their film, and they're ready to complete the next task. So a short memory can be a really valuable asset in this game, and the sun will come up tomorrow. Like, I didn't promise them a perfect season. I promised them a really fun season and the ability to compete for, championships, but perfect is just not a thing that, we as ball players strive for. You have to be married to the process.
I love that. And you kind of answered the question I have. I had Coach Ball Malone of UCF on. She talked about, like, they've talked about, we joked Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, and a team that can wobble without completely falling down, and seeing your team be able to bounce back and play to those highs and lows as well as you have, I think is really good. And so what what is your messaging to them? And you've kind of said it a little bit, but what is your messaging to this team when they have those lows, when they have those losses that are really frustrating? Of turn this thing around, especially if you're on a Saturday and you start the day with a bad loss, and now you're going to figure out how to turn things around before an afternoon game. What is your message to this team to help them get past those things?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's going to bend, don't break. And you are going to learn more from losses than you're going to learn from winning. And that is just, I think, a reality in a stick and ball sport. So if you allow it to become data collection and you don't make the same mistake twice, right? And you can really thoughtfully, I think, ingest instruction and retain it immediately, you're going to have a really prolific career at this level. And those young ones to this point have been able to do it, right? There's a lot of them on the field in the top of the lineup. My goodness, there's a couple that are learning new positions. And we're kind of building the plane while we're flying it. So, I mean, it's a tight knit group and there's a lot of trust here. There's also a lot of expectation and standard, and they continue to get better every day and rise to the challenge. And that's all we can ask of them.
That's awesome. I love it. Building the plane while we're flying it. So you got to keep it in the air while you're also trying to put it together. It's great.
Yeah.
That's that herding cats. We just need some. Bartlett, we gotta get some nice, just some quote shirts here of building the plane while you're flying it. Herding cats. This is good. This is good stuff. 3 weeks into the season, we got one more season left, or one more week before conference play starts. What has surprised you the most about this team so far?
Ooh, surprised me the most about this team. I think for as young as we are, I've been really proud of their resiliency. I don't know that I did a great job of that at 18, right? Like I was a very high achieving ball player. I'm a very type A personality. And certainly no matter how many times somebody told me to like, chill out, this is good for this level. Like it's not travel ball. You're not going to hit 800 ever again. I was still running around like little fireball chicken with my head cut off. And I think this is certainly hopefully a product of we prepare them and we educate them and we try to teach them all the things they need to know about this level. But I do think by teaching them the nuances of the game and holding a high standard, they've also been really resilient, in a pretty mature way. Again, they're filling big spots in the lineup and playing important roles on defensively. So for the young ones, I think to bounce back and again continue to learn and ingest, as they're having to figure out a way to win ball games, that can be a lot. And they've done a really, really nice job. So I think so far I'm really proud of the resiliency. Like I know that if we misstep, we're going to be able to step back on that field and compete, win the next ball game, which essentially, by the time we get to the Big 12 is going to be incredibly important, right? Wannabe gets to win a ball game, somebody's got to lose a ball game, and the Big 12 is a really tough conference. So I do think just that ability to go to sleep, these are the adjustments I need to make, scrap it, step on the field the next day and make a really tangible adjustment physically and mentally is going to really lend to a great advantage.
Yeah, as someone who did not play sports in college, I'm always curious which is better. When you play football or basketball and you have multiple days after a loss to try and figure things out before you have another shot, or baseball, softball, where it's the next day. Like I get to turn around the next day. I got another shot at this against that same team. Like I'm always curious. It's such a different mindset in both those cases of like, I've got to sit a whole week letting this, try and make sure this doesn't fester, preparing for the next game versus no, I've got less than 24 hours before I've got to go out there and do this again. It's just such an interesting thought process of trying to balance those two things together. I'm at this point, I'm just like brain dumping more than I'm asking an actual question to you. We've talked a lot about the youth on this team so far. There's still some seniors and upperclassmen on this roster who are very important to you and very important to your success this year. Who has really stepped up in your mind of the upperclassmen, not just on the actual field, but as leaders of this team and helping prepare this next wave of Sun Devils for helping ensure that Arizona State softball continues to be successful in the future?
Yeah. I mean, Kelsey Hall has certainly been a wonderful leader for us. She's a sixth year. She's been in 3 different programs. She's very mature. She's very articulate. And I think connects with all different personalities really well. And she certainly has this graceful way of raising and holding the standard. So we are certainly blessed that she chose to become a Sun Devil a couple years ago. So definitely Kelsey. I think honestly, AJ Murphy has done a really nice job. AJ is this beautifully chill personality. She's engaging and she's funny, and nothing speeds AJ up, right? Not softball. She doesn't get worked up. She's glue, right? She's connective and she's funny and she's graceful. So it doesn't matter if you're a 6-year or if you're an 18-year-old freshman. AJ is one of those people that everyone just gravitates toward. So, right, to have AJ back and healthy, out on the field, she's playing a great shortstop right now, is certainly kind of the cherry on top. But she has been, I think, instrumental, honestly, in just bringing such a diverse team. We have kids that are Kelsey's 23 down to a lot of 18-year-olds. And there's just a lot of life that happens in those years, right? Kelsey's flying to Minneapolis for a job interview Sunday night. And, the young ones are just certainly not in that headspace yet. So to have older ones that can kind of bring everybody to the middle is really, really important, I think. And then, of course, Kinsey Brown leading the way on the mound with the pitching staff. She certainly took Mika Lupi under her wing a year ago. Both small town, kind of grew up out in the country. And there's certainly a lot of, just values that they share. They're such good girls. They're good people. They're hard workers. So to watch them both have success has just been, as a coach, it just makes your heart happy. Really, really gratifying.
That's awesome. Like you really want to have that leadership to help coach the next wave, and to hear that that's what you've got, and you've got these different personalities that all blend together. I think that's awesome. Also, having to interviews for jobs, it's February. Come on. Like, what do we, you got other things, man. I don't miss those days. I don't.
No. She's
Not at
very
all.
excited about it. So
That's good. That's good. Okay.
All is well, and we'll get her back here Monday night and get back to work, and she'll be happy and she can stop thinking about it. So
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. You guys are part of the Big 12 now. The Pac-12 is an entirely different thing. It's in the rear view. I'm sure, as someone who has a long history with the Pac-12 conference, this is it's not a happy occurrence that the conference is dealing with what it's dealing with. But what are your thoughts on this new Big 12, this 11-team conference that includes some programs that you're very familiar with, obviously, in Arizona and Utah, and I'm sure you guys have played BYU quite a bit given the proximity, as well as now sharing a conference with the Oklahoma State and UCF and Texas Tech. What are your thoughts on this Big 12 as a whole, both now as a member and just kind of viewing this conference from an outside-in perspective?
Yeah. Well, I came from the Big 12, so certainly with my years at Texas, there's some familiarity there. So we'll call it the Big 12 2.0, right? The more expanded. But yeah, it's an awesome softball conference. It's fun, and now it's expanded its footprint a little more. I don't know, east west, I suppose. So we're just excited to get going. I think at this point, it's going to be really good competition, for the most part, pretty good weather. But yeah, I don't, the fall of the pack was certainly sad. I mean, there's so much history. I know I grew up, watching the kind of those prolific School Down South versus UCLA, right? A little Mike Candrea versus Sue Inquist. So it's certainly, it's sad. It's many years of pride and tradition. But what has come next with the Big 12, that conference office is amazing. Like, they are visionary, and they are what's to come, I think, in college athletics. Certainly the move with football has been a great one. We're so excited for Kenny Dillingham and that crew. I mean, God, what an amazing run this fall. So I think just the influx of what it's done for our university, and what it's going to continue to do to raise the profile of our football team is certainly a big deal too, because rising tides raise all ship, right? College athletics has become a resource race, really since the transfer portal and NIL. So we're grateful that the Big 12 wanted us, and we were grateful, to be invited in. And I think we're all just ready to get going.
Are we going to get a Kenny Dillingham first pitch, Cam Scadabo first pitch
I would
tonight
love that.
there?
I think Cam's off training right now. I think the draft and stuff's coming up, but um, yeah, we'd love to have Katie out for sure. I think some of the female head coaches are going to throw first pitches on Friday for National Women in Sports Day, so he's certainly
Nice.
on the docket.
Nice. Good. Okay. Well, excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent. Um, is it nice to have some programs that Arizona State's more familiar with, of Utah and Arizona joining you? Like, is it nice to have that familiarity as well? And obviously, you have the familiarity having been at Texas with some of these programs. Like,
Mhm.
does that feel like that gives you a little bit of a heads up as well, being this conference now, having coached against some of these teams already?
Um, I suppose, yeah. I mean, the reality is the world of top 25, and Power Four is not so big. So a lot of these schools, whether it's preseason tournaments or postseason, you're gonna run up against certainly. Um, but yeah, I don't
It's
know. We're
okay.
ready to beat everybody. I don't know that it feels like we're a big happy family quite yet. We're just ready to win some ball games.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got 6-game weekend coming up. Oregon State twice, Seattle, Yale, Utah State. Obviously, 6-0 is the goal for the weekend. But if there's one thing you'd like your girls to kind of learn or figure out this weekend in this slate before you guys kick off Big 12 play, what would that be?
I think continue to just value the process, right? We're going to see a lot of different pitch profiles and a lot of different arms this weekend. So continuing to sharpen that ability to hunt zones or hunt pitches is very important to us. And then continuing to integrate those freshman pitchers, I think, into the staff in a meaningful way. That's going to also be really important to our success. So we're hopeful we're going to get them going a little bit more this weekend. Um, but yeah, just continue to value consistency, because a lot of times consistency is doing the boring work.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's valuing different things and putting in work behind the scenes to make sure you're ready to go. And that can be a thankless process sometimes, and you're not always going to get a pat on the bottom for it. So we just have to continue to find ways to get an out at a time, take care of the ball, come up with a gap shot in a big moment. And but they all, I think, are very aware of the expectations and what it's going to take to perform in that way from here on out. So at this point, I feel like we've done a lot of learning, and now it's the at least from where I'm sitting, right in the third base box and in the dugout with our team, things are starting to look a little like the game's slowing down for them, if that makes sense, right? Where our decision making kind of cleans up every single weekend. The pitchers seem to settle in a little bit more on the mound, so those things are exciting.
To quote Bluey, sometimes the boring stuff is important too. So,
Sometimes it's the most important stuff.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I, I have some random questions I like to ask the players, and so I'm going to ask you some of them now because I haven't done it with a coach yet. I think this will be a little bit fun. Okay, number one is peanut butter and jelly. What is your jelly of choice?
Ooh, if I have to eat jelly, it's strawberry, but I would prefer honey.
Okay, peanut butter and honey.
That's an
That is
acceptable answer.
yes, no, that is a standard in our house. My girls eat that a lot. We also are big. Have you had fluffernutter yet?
Uh-uh.
Peanut butter and marshmallow fluff.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
sounds
it's
delicious.
yeah, do that, and if you throw some sliced bananas in there, it's yeah, it's good.
Okay, that's the real deal.
Just a heads up. Okay, who is the best trash talker on your team?
Ooh, Tiare Ho Ching. She is so sassy. I love her so much. She is a tiny little fireball. She's our second baseman, leadoff hitter right now. She's absolutely crushing it. But yeah, her and Ashley Mejia. That's the dynamic duo right there.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Oh, what did I have? Oh yeah, sorry. Now I've. This is good audio. Oh, this is good interview stuff when I actually forget the questions to ask. So good job, me. Where to go? Where to go? Where to go? I'm sorry. Okay. Um, what would your walk-up song be?
Ooh, what would my walk-up song be? Hmm. Probably something country. It's kind of a banger.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna need any help there. I don't listen to like country music, but
I like country music. Yeah.
that's good. No, that's good. I get into a little bit more all the time. My wife is happy about that. So obviously players have game day rituals. Do you have a game day ritual as a coach?
Lots of coffee. Lots of coffee. I have the best yachts on the planet. Lexi full on just feeds the addiction. She knows the order. She doesn't even ask. It just appears multiple times a day. Lexi is the best. Yes.
Is that a game day ritual or is that a every single day of the week ritual?
Well, she doesn't buy it every single day of the week,
Okay.
but she'll just, do the big staff run a couple times a day on game day, and it's certainly super appreciated.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Um, which Big 12 series? And I'm going to ask, and I know I'm going to get a coach answer, and that's okay. I have to ask anyways. Which Big 12 series are you most looking forward to? You guys have BYU, UCF, Arizona, Iowa State, Kansas, Utah, Baylor, and Texas Tech.
Okay, so I've got a rogue answer for you. You ready?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I'm most excited for actually is the Big 12 tournament because it's at the Hall of Fame Stadium in OKC. I am so excited, right, for these young ones to put spikes on that ground for the first time. It is this incredible, like, it's like that sense of, oh my God, I'm here, right? You've got thousands of people in the stands, and just to be immersed, like the smell of the grass and the smell of the dirt and, all the kind of pomp and circumstance going on around you. It's a great event and in such a special place for our sport. So I'm so excited for those young ones to just, again, put their spikes to the dirt, kind of get familiar with it, get to know the dimensions, speed of play out there. So that by the time we get back and play, in the World Series, they're not overwhelmed by it. They've already played a whole tournament there and hopefully had some great success already. So I think I'm really excited for that week. I love postseason, love to compete.
That's an awesome answer. That's great. No, I appreciate it versus, well, we're just happy to play everybody and we can't wait to get out. No, that's a great answer. I love that. That's fantastic. All right, Coach, you have been phenomenal. Thank you so much for your time and for hopping on here and talking about Arizona State softball with us. I cannot wait to get you back on again. Again, I root for the whole Big 12, and obviously I am an Oklahoma State fan, but I am an ASU fan. Like I've put myself out there saying, I think you guys are going to be a postseason team this year, and I see the potential based off the ceiling of the team. So I'm very excited to continue to follow you. Obviously, you're a Big 12 team, but like I'm really excited to follow you guys this year. I'm happy to have you in the Big 12, and I need a Sun Devil hat for right
Okay.
here.
Okay. We'll have Josh line it up. Yes.
Perfect. I love. Yeah,
Well,
we'll put
thank
it.
you
We'll
so
put it up
much. I
there.
appreciate that. We're excited
Absolutely.
for the year. Yeah. We're excited for the move to the Big 12 for sure.